Why American and German engines are so different. Two engines, same horsepower. One lasts 300,000 miles, the other might not see 60,000. Here's the wild part. They're both good engines, built on opposite philosophies. The Ford Coyote 5.8 hits 460 horsepower from 5 liters and 8 cylinders. The BMW S58 matches that with half the size, using only 2 turbos. That leaves us all with the question, why are American engines so different from German engines? 2. American philosophy, bigger beats better. America built its engines around one simple idea. More displacement means more power. It's the classic, no replacement for displacement mindset. Gas was cheap for decades. Roads were long and mostly straight. Nobody cared much about squeezing every last mile from a gallon. So engineers went big instead of clever. Take the Chevy LS3. It's a 6.2-liter V8, making 430 horsepower. It uses a pushrod valve train, a design that dates back to the 1950s. Pushrod engines use one camshaft, sitting low in the block. European engines usually use 2 camshafts, mounted up on the head. Fewer moving parts means fewer things that can break. That's the whole American secret, really. Keep the design simple, and it tends to last. Reddit's r/cars community backs this up constantly. Owners of Coyote-powered Mustangs report low annual repair costs. Many say they spend under $600 a year on average upkeep. Compare that to a turbocharged BMW. Its average often runs well over $1,200 a year. Why the gap? A big, lazy V8 barely breaks a sweat doing its job. It's not squeezing every ounce of power from every cubic inch it has. It has room to breathe and room to age gracefully. That extra headroom is the real secret behind American toughness. The engine simply isn't working as hard, cylinder for cylinder. Think of it like a marathon runner jogging instead of sprinting. They'll cover the same distance eventually. They just won't blow a hamstring doing it. American makers leaned into that idea hard. Ford, Chevy, and Chrysler all built engines any mechanic could fix. No fancy tools needed, no dealer-only computer checks. Just a wrench, a lift, and some patience. That thinking also kept parts cheap. LS engines share components across trucks, SUVs, and sports cars alike. One broken part, dozens of places to find a replacement. But that headroom comes with a real cost. We'll get there in a minute. 3. German philosophy, small, smart, and under pressure. Now flip the picture to Germany. Same goal, totally different math. German engineers never had cheap gas to lean on. They also never had America's 50-year love affair with big V8s. What they did have was the Autobahn. Driving over 100 miles per hour for hours takes serious engineering. That means tight parts, strong cooling, real precision under real ongoing heat. They also had something working directly against big engines: taxes. Many European countries tax cars by displacement or emissions output. A bigger engine simply costs more to own from day one. So BMW, Mercedes, and Audi went the other way entirely. Smaller engines, but packed with more technology to make up the difference. Think about the N54, the N20, and today's S55 and S58 engines. Every one of them is turbocharged. Everyone squeezes huge power from small displacement. They stack boost, direct injection, and variable valve timing together. All of it lives inside one small, tightly packed engine. A modern 2.0-liter Turbo 4 can match the output of a 5.0-liter American V8. That's genuinely impressive work. No argument there. It's a bit like asking a small dog to pull a sled built for a husky. It can do it. It just has to try a whole lot harder. But here's the catch nobody advertises. That little engine works far harder for every horsepower it makes. And working harder, mile after mile, eventually adds up. There's also a cultural piece here. European drivers expect their cars to feel alive at higher RPM. A German engine has to rev freely, pull hard, and still sip fuel in traffic. That's 3 demanding jobs for one small engine to juggle. 4. When precision breaks down. Take the N54 and N20 engines. Both are famous for the same reason: catastrophic failures. The N54's high-pressure fuel pump wasn't a random bad part. Engineers pushed it to its absolute limit. It sprays fuel at extreme pressure inside a tightly packed high-boost system. When it finally failed, repairs ran $4,000 to $6,000. The N20's timing chain wasn't unlucky either. It's a small, thin component. It had to control a high-revving, high-pressure engine for years, with almost no slack built in. When it stretched, it destroyed pistons and valves in one shot. Total repair bill? $15,000 to $20,000. This is the trade-off nobody talks about enough. German design asks nearly every part to work close to its limit. That's exactly how you get big power from small displacement. But it also means there's almost no margin left when something finally gives. One Redditor on r/BMW summed it up well. These engines run great, right up until the one weak link finally lets go. And it usually doesn't fail small. It fails big, and it fails expensive. That's not bad luck showing up randomly. That's the approach itself, showing you its true cost. Here's the part that stings the most. Both failures were preventable on paper. BMW even issued service campaigns for the N54 fuel pump. But most owners never noticed symptoms in time. By then, the damage was already spreading. 5. But American engines aren't perfect either. Let's be fair here for a second. Big and simple isn't automatically better in every way. Large V8s burn more fuel, full stop. There's no getting around basic physics. More cylinders and more displacement mean more gas burned at the pump. Older American engines also had real wiring and build issues. This was especially true before the 2000s. Chrysler in particular earned a rough name for cheap interiors and short engine life. And raw torque at low RPM is fantastic for towing, but it doesn't reward you the same way a high-revving German 6 does. That 6 wants a curvy back road and a reason to sing. Simplicity buys you toughness most of the time. It doesn't always buy you refinement or excitement. So, don't walk away thinking American engines are flawless. They're not even close to perfect. They just tend to fail differently, and usually a lot cheaper. Think of it this way. A German engine fails like a scalpel snapping mid-surgery, rare but dramatic. An American engine fails like an old boot wearing through, slow and predictable. Neither one is fun. One's just easier to see coming. 6. The receipts? A real head-to-head. Let's put real numbers on the table now. Nothing settles a debate like receipts. Corner 1, the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. It runs a supercharged 6.2-liter V8. That engine makes 650 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. Corner 2, the BMW M3 competition. It runs a twin-turbo 3.0-liter inline-6. That engine makes 503 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. The Camaro makes more raw power, using roughly double the displacement to get there. The BMW gets closer on power per liter. It squeezes out roughly 168 horsepower per liter. The Camaro manages about 105 horsepower per liter. On paper, BMW wins that argument pretty easily. But look past the spec sheet at real ownership. The Camaro's supercharged LT4 shares its core with the Corvette's engine. That's a design proven across hundreds of thousands of real-world miles. The M3's S58 is newer. It's more complex and it needs expert care from day one. Annual maintenance on the Camaro typically runs a few $100s cheaper than the BMW. Something major eventually breaks on both cars. That's just ownership. But the BMW's bill is almost always the steeper one. Same horsepower ballpark. Very, very different long-term math once you own one. Price tells a similar story. A ZL1 starts around $72,000. A comparably equipped M3 competition often lands north of $80,000. You're paying extra for those small displacement smarts before a single repair bill even shows up. So the receipts don't lie. One car costs less to buy and less to fix. It still keeps up in a straight line. The other costs more everywhere, but rewards you with a very different kind of driving experience. 7. Why the split exists in the first place. So why did these two countries end up so far apart? It's really not about taste. It's about rules, roads, and money. For years, US rules focused on specific bad gases like NOx and carbon monoxide. Fuel economy got handled on its own through CAFE standards. That split gave makers room to keep building big, thirsty engines. As long as the exhaust checked out, size wasn't really the problem. European rules took a very different path from the start. Their standards blend exhaust, fuel use, and CO2 into one combined target. That single rule pushed makers hard toward smaller, boosted engines, almost by law. Now add in the roads themselves. America built wide highways designed for easy cruising. Germany built the Autobahn, made for non-stop high-speed driving. Then there's culture, which matters more than people admit. Americans tend to lean toward value and DIY repairs. Europeans tend to lean toward performance per liter and dealer-level service instead. None of this split is random or accidental. Every engineering choice traces straight back to a law, a road, or a wallet. Even fuel plays a part here. American gas stayed relatively cheap for most of the last century. European gas has carried heavy taxes for decades. When fuel costs 3 times as much, every extra liter of displacement hurts your wallet directly. So it's not that German engineers love extra parts for fun. They were pushed into it, one regulation at a time. 8. Coming together and what you should buy. Here's the twist nobody sees coming. These two worlds are quietly stealing from each other now. Ford's EcoBoost engines copy the German playbook almost exactly. Small displacement, turbocharged, direct injection, all packed into one engine. GM's Turbo 4s run that same formula today. Meanwhile, BMW is doing the opposite. Its newer engine family shares more parts and uses simpler computer checks. That's straight out of the American book on lasting longer. So the two philosophies are meeting in the middle. Neither side won. They just learned from each other. Now the real question, which one should sit in your driveway? If you want cheap repairs and a mechanic on every block, go American. It's simple, forgiving, and built to shrug off neglect. If you want raw precision and don't mind paying for expert hands, go German. It rewards you hard, and it punishes you harder if you skip a service. There's no wrong answer here. There's just an honest one. American engineers built for the wrench. German engineers built for the red line. Both built greatness. They just aimed it in different directions. So ask yourself one thing before you buy. Do you want an engine that forgives you or one that pushes you? Pick honestly, and either one will reward you for years. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.